Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to this month's episode of TAG's Voices of Liberation podcast. My name is Fawn Walker Montgomery, and I'm the CEO and co founder for Take Action Advocacy Group, or TAG, as we affectionately like to call it. So, TAG has been around 10 years, and I always do this in the beginning just for the new people who may tune into our podcast. So, TAG is a Black Liberation Organization. We have been around for 10 years now. We do work in smaller Black communities because we understand that is where your isms live and take place. We do work in the Mon Valley area of Allegheny County, which is in the greater Pittsburgh area. We've also done some work in Atlanta as well. Like I said, our focus is those smaller communities, and our mission is to help those who face social injustices. We use community organizing to give them a skill set to be able to advocate for themselves. So that's basically what TAG does. Our offerings, because we like to call them offerings instead of programs, our offerings consist of community trainings, our complaint program, where people can call in and just get help. We navigate them through the system, connect them with legal resources as well as mental health resources. We have chapters, youth and adult chapters, that people can join and basically get involved in the work we're doing in the Mon Valley communities. We advocate for various social justice and Black liberation initiatives. So this year we're focused on environmental justice and climate justice, police accountability, food apartheid that we have here in the Mon Valley, and of course healing and wellness because that is a big part of liberation that people don't talk about enough. We feel like we have a Get Out the Lead campaign for McKee Sport, and we have wellness sessions as well as an endometriosis support group as I am an endo warrior. You can sign up for all of this on our website, and we will put that link in the chat. And for today's episode, we are going to talk about the upcoming local election. So here in Pennsylvania, we have an election coming up on May 20th. It's a primary election. So we're going to talk about that and then also update you all on our McKee Sport Police advocacy case. So to join me to talk about voting, I am going to bring on Brittany Smalls from Black Voters Matter. So I'm going to add Brittany to the stage now. All right, voila. So hello, Brittany. How are you?
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for
Good.
having me.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you for coming on here today. So Tag has been rocking with Brittany for years now. It's been a while since we met. And I really enjoyed the way that Brittany came into Allegheny County because she met with everybody. Literally. She met with folks, she talked with folks, she met with people. She took the time to put the work in. Coming from someone who not from here, didn't live here, got a job to do some organizing down here, and the way that you did it was amazing because you literally reached out to some. I heard about. It. I was like, somebody named Brittany called you. I was like, yes, she did. So the way that you did it was amazing. So we've been working with Black Voters Matter for a while now. So Brittany, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll get started.
Again, thank you so much
Mhm.
for having me. My name is Brittany Smalls, and I am the Western PA lead regional organizer for Black Waters Matter Fund. I cover Allegheny County, Cambria, Beaver, and Erie. And again, as Fawn stated, it's been a journey since 2019.
Yeah.
We've been connected, and I think that we've done some impactful work on this side of the state to build power and liberation,
Hmm.
to truly free Black people and what it looks like from the civic level. And so I'm so glad to again be in the space. Black Waters Matter is a national organization based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and they do work to build power in the community, but not impose on the community. So the organic, it was very strategic being organic with connecting with the orgs on the ground because we are not here to infiltrate communities. We're here to be in communities to provide support, and resources for the groups that are already doing the work on the ground. Many times groups come in the community, they tell them what they're going to do and how they're going, we got this plan, we got this. But the community, we have vested heroes like
Yeah.
Fawn Walker Montgomery in the community already that have been stationed there and wearing
Mhm.
the community on their back. So we need to uplift those folks and support them in the work that's already being done. So I'm
Absolutely.
so glad to be a part of that movement.
And that is so important that you mentioned that because as far as you all being a national organization having that approach, that is means so much, to the people out here doing the work, and you all and moving for Black Lives is who Tag communicates with and partners with, and the way that you all do it, it doesn't feel like you're trying to take over or tell us what to do. So I appreciate that. So we
Thank
do have
you.
an election coming up May 20th.
We do.
So I'm just going to go over some basics for people. So vote, first of all, vote. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you can vote in person or you can vote. I don't think we might have lost Brittany here for a minute, but I'll get her back in a second. So you can vote in person, and you can vote by mail. The polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on May 20th. You can also vote by mail, but you do have to have your application must be received by May 13th. And then the deadline to turn your application in is May 20th by 8 o'clock p.m. So, once again, you can vote in person, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you can also vote by mail. You have to turn in your ballot by 8 p.m. on May 20th. If you want to know where your polling place is, we'll put this in the chat. There's a link you could put your address in, and it'll come up with your polling place information. If you have your ballot, you can also drop it off at the Allegheny County Elections Division, which is 542 Forbes Avenue, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15219. If it's your first time voting in Pennsylvania, you do have to take. If it's your first time voting at that polling place, you do have to take your ID with you. If they don't let you vote, then you need to ask for a provisional ballot because they do count those. All right. So those are just some basics. I do want to read over who's running. Now we're not putting everybody's website in the chat. Y'all won't have to look that up, but we will put a sample ballot because I have a sample ballot here that you can get on Allegheny County's website. So we'll put that link in the chat. So this is basically like Allegheny County Judge of Superior Court. I looked this sample ballot up from the Keysport. Brandon Newman is running. Commonwealth Court, Stella Tessa. I don't know these folks. I'm not familiar with them. This is Judge of the Court of Common Pleas, and you can vote for 8 people. Amanda Green Hawkins is running. Brian Neft, Queta Bridges, Heather Brashon, Elisa Cohen, Hillary Wheatley, Carmen Robertson, Lauren Leggy, Mike Sullivan, Julie Capone, Dan Miller, Jamie Marie Hickton, Ian Sir, Sorry Terry, Amy Matu, Dennis Very, Michelle Satina, Anthony DeLuca, Matthew Radusky, Craig Stevens, Jack Orbra. So those are all the people running for judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Allegheny County, and that's an important position because when you go to the county, if you're arrested for anything, you're gonna have to deal with these judge in the Court of Common Pleas. I don't think people pay enough attention to the judges. So there'll be judges, there'll be county council people. Dylan Artima, Aaron Adams, and Kellyanne Friedrich are running for county council. Michael Shrubko and Joe Piro running for Mastrial District Judge in McKeesport. And we have school board and city council seats up as well. School board, Tom Filodi, Julian Thomas, Matthew Holzman, Bob Boyle, Tiffany Wampler, Kevin Kovach, Mike Shelley, David Donato, and Arla Payne. Councils, Joe Brewster Lake, Brian Evans, Joe Lapiro, Jessica Johnson, and Adam Helfer. So those are all the people running in this particular county. So I'll go back to you, Brittany. Why do you, what impact does an individual's vote have on local and national issues?
Whew. The I know that that question has been asked to me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the climate that we're in now, where some folks are feeling like defeated because of the outcome of some of the results. And I would say that again, voting is not the end all be all to our liberation as people, but it's definitely a tool. If we look back in history on some of the changes that
Mm-hmm.
have been made to move the needle forward,
Yeah.
um, we if we strategically use voting, we can really impact our people, but it's going to take a lot of work. And I
Mm-hmm.
know we will go into that later in the conversation, but it's definitely we can utilize it. Um, on scales. I've seen changes made in education. I've
Hmm.
seen changes made in the criminal justice system, and it's about really having people in representation in public office that can rectify some of the affairs that were impactful to us as a people. So
Hmm.
we can. I understand that we don't. I I'm very careful about how I answer this question because I don't want folks to feel like bullied
Hmm.
into participating in the voting process, but just understanding it, giving a new perspective on things that we would like to see, the changes that we like to see in our community, and how we can utilize that as the avenue to get where we want to go.
Hmm. Absolutely. And when we have the discussion around like tying that to local issues, so I'm always telling people to vote, especially locally. I think people should vote for everything, but especially locally. I'm a former elected official. One of my elections, I won by 3 votes, literally 3 votes. So every vote counts. And then I've seen people get into office and actually connect what they're doing, back with the community. So for the police review board for Allegheny County, I think is a good example of that because we had a lot of people on there who were about the community, were community oriented, and they were in support of that piece of legislation. So when you have people in local, state, national seats who can push the issues that are important to you, that's where you kind of see the intersections come together for voting. And I don't think a lot of people have this particular conversation about. So if you get candidate A in there and candidate A is sympathetic, to your issues with police, then candidate A might be in support of you for some type of legislation. And that's the dots that I don't think people connect because they say, oh, nothing can be done. And you have to look at how it's structured in whatever area you're in. Because unfortunately, things are structured so differently. So here in Allegheny County, we have over 100 different municipalities. They have their own police, their own council, mayor, school board. Typically, everything is separate. So in each different community, somebody has more power, than the other person. So it really does come down to the person who you're actually voting and who um, makes more sense to you. I guess that kind of aligns with more of your values. And I love
Hmm.
what you said about not bullying people into voting because a lot of people will try to guilt folks, into voting, but not understanding that I think people have real concerns,
Yes.
when it comes to our
Even the
community.
process.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, the process is confusing, but
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. Definitely doesn't have to be at all. And what are some obstacles that people face when trying to vote? As we, are talking about some of the barriers that come up.
I can speak to my current experience,
Hmm.
being a new voter here in Allegheny County. My polling location is nowhere near my house.
Mm.
Fortunately for me, I can drive there to get there. But it's I if I was someone who was looking for accessibility, I couldn't get there. And also, my polling location is in another neighborhood adjacent to my neighborhood. So it's not even in my neighborhood, my polling location.
Hmm.
I received a text message about my polling location being moved, but say I didn't have access to that phone anymore, I wouldn't have received the information. How would I get access to that information on where my polling location is if I didn't have access to the technology? Just given I didn't get anything in the mail.
Hmm. Hmm.
So just like some of the barriers, and then also what causes voter suppression are some of those issues. Not knowing where to vote, not not knowing in terms of your polling location, not having access to information in terms of the upcoming elections because we still have folks that say, oh, we don't have to vote this year because it's not a president. They're still think have the presidential year in our mind. So that means us as organizers on the ground, we need to do more work to get the word out because folks don't even know there's an election every 6 months, and even more if there's special elections happening within the community.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
communication,
Hmm.
accessibility, those are all
Hmm.
issues that we face when trying to participate in each election cycle.
And when you say voter suppression, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, voter suppression is something that is challenging, and more particularly folks that look like me and you
Hmm.
um, have experienced it more, because I think it's ideal
Hmm.
for us not to participate and not have our voices heard. So they'll do make the barriers even stronger for us to even be able to participate. Again, my polling location not being accessible to my community is a barrier for me to be able to participate in the election. And that will be considered voter suppression.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they do a lot with the redlining, with the
Yes.
redistricting. They do that a lot. And
Yes.
what we mean by that is they put barriers in place for communities of color, particularly Black people, to go and vote. Even the real ID can be, can kind of be seen that way. They say we need it one day, they say we don't need it the next day.
Exactly.
It's all, and then it costs money, and you have to physically go there. And like you brought up the transportation and the access, you have people with disabilities, especially in the Mon Valley, we have they're cutting transportation as it is, and you want us to, us to kind of go out there and vote. And how would you say these barriers impacts marginalized communities like a McKeesport?
It definitely, because especially when I think that folks have a hard time tying the issues to voting, like their particular issues. If you hear, and that's why I think we have to um, make the language plain and clear so folks can really know this impacts you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for an example, the climate issues.
Yeah.
If somebody just hears the word climate issue, they don't feel a direct connection. But if they hear, oh, most of the people in my family are struggling with asthma, or come down with a severe illness, they can see the direct connection to um, why it's important for them to participate and get representation that is would support them in making
Mm-hmm.
those changes in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. People don't kind of connect the dots with the exact issues that they're going through and how
Yeah,
voting would kind of push that along the way. I know we
right,
had some folks really help get some environmental justice funds to come to McKeesport, and that was because we had people in there who knew what was going on in McKeesport and who cared, and
right,
to be able to connect the dots. But then there's also the organizers who put pressure on those people. So it's like this:
right,
we everything has to be happening at the same time.
right,
We got to do
right.
both.
And they got to
Tag.
be consistent.
Yes,
It got to
yes.
be, and it can't just be. It has to be a true movement, and not just Fawn Walker Montgomery, wearing the
Hmm.
community on her back. It
Yep.
has to be a collective effort of
Yep.
people that's from that community that understand the issues and spreading the word, so it could be a real movement. And it's not going to
Hmm.
happen overnight. Some
Hmm.
people will, throw an event, and then you won't hear from them for the
Yeah.
next 6 7 months. It's just consistency is key for the community.
Absolutely. There are some folks who definitely just show up do voter engagement during election season. Really pisses me off. Because there's so many things going on, especially here in McKeesport. I mean, there's a gambit of things you can have going on. So to come over here and just do voting work and ignore all of these other issues, I feel like that's why some people feel disconnected from voter engagement, because they're like, we only see you then, when you want us to vote for somebody, but there are all these other issues. I mean, you're
Right,
talking about we can't breathe, we can't drink the water, police are wilding out over here. We got vacant homes. We got a lot of vacant property. Like there's just a gambit of things. So
yeah.
for people
And
just
then
to
when they
come,
see that, the community has to visualize that, because they got to be in it every single day. The
yes,
last thing they probably is thinking about is going to the polls, because it's not, the dots are not connected.
right.
If you're struggling to feed your family, because of the food insecurity within the community, the last thing you're going to do is fill out your ballot. But
Mm-hmm.
if we frame it and have them understand, like, no, there's funding that's allocated from the state that can be allocated to this particular
Mm-hmm.
community, but we just have to have the right people in office to fight for for that type of funding, so they can
Mm-hmm.
come to the community. So
Mm-hmm.
you just have to give another perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely. And I pulled some data from McKeesport. So last year for 2024, and this is the primary. we had a little under 5,000 votes. Now we have at least 19, 20,000 people in this city. So I looked at some of the wards because this is why I say you really have to understand how these areas are structured. So McKeesport itself has 12 wards.
Mm.
So we have like a 1 1, and we go all the way to 12. And then within those numbers, there's like separate divisions within.
Divisions.
Yeah,
Divisions. Yeah.
yeah, just different divisions within that. So
Mm-hmm.
3-1, which is I would say like a white area. 69 people voted. There was 279 registered voters. 7-6 and 7-7, those are black. I guess the black parts of town. 7-6, 65 people voted. 423 are registered. 7-7, 60 voted, and 303 are registered.
Mm-hmm.
And 2023 was worse than that. There was actually improvement in 2024, which is a good thing. But I feel like those numbers speak to the state of the area that we live in. And I don't. It's not that people don't know what's going on or people don't want to vote. It's that people are disengaged. It's that people have been disenfranchised. People have been oppressed, and these some elected officials will come in and promise this and that and never come through. Honestly, so people are just kind of discouraged. There's low apathy, I would say. Like I said, I
Yeah.
do see some improvement there from last year to last 2023 2024. But when people see these numbers, the first thing they do is say, "Oh, we need to do more voter engagement. We need to do more events." And I don't see, when I look at these numbers, I don't see that. And I know I live here in McKeesport, I'm from here, but I look at numbers for other communities, and if they're low or in the middle, I'm thinking like, what is going on in that community
Mm-hmm.
with the actual people there? Do they feel like their leaders are listening to them? Do they feel like people are being held accountable? Do they feel like changes are actually coming? That's when I see those numbers, that's what I see. I don't think, oh, this much means the people. They don't vote. They need to get their asses
Mm-hmm.
out there and vote. They don't understand that people died. Like I don't go there. I think, wow, there must be some serious issues in that community with their leadership. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to bring out some of those numbers. We'll put this in a chat. I got this from Allegheny County Board of Elections website. You can go on there and look by precinct who voted and how many people voted. And I know we've been having this discussion about intersections with some of these issues. So as we're talking about McKeesport and voter engagement, why does voter engagement get as much attention as these other issues? Why do you think that is?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, yeah. How has why does voter engagement get more attention than issues like environmental justice or police accountability? So we do all things justice. So every time we do an event, we're talking about voting, but we also do events around police accountability. We also do events around food apartheid, and we don't get some of the same support when we're whether that be from funders, whether that be from our partners, whether that be from the community. We don't always get the same support when we're talking about those, I guess, serious issues. I'm not sure because I feel like they're all serious to me. So why is that? Why do you feel like voter engagement gets all this attention? It is it's an over resourced issue. I would say it is. There's a lot of resources thrown at it, but not a lot thrown at some of these other issues. Why do you think that is?
I think that because I think civics you framed it as an issue,
Mm-hmm,
and I think that folks frame it as a means
mm-hmm,
to combat the issues. So I think that they look at it as an overall, and then some people just take it. You're on the inside. You see, you're on the ground. You know what's going on. You know what's being funded and everything.
mm-hmm,
But I think that folks look at that particular. I don't. They don't look at it, frame it as that. They frame it as a means to, and like, if we can get through this, then that would solve the issues.
mm-hmm.
But we know, again, it's not going to liberate us, but it is a tool to move the needle forward.
Yeah, yeah,
But there,
yeah.
a lot of folks have framed this as the end all be all,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the time, it's framed that way because it's in self interest, in self righteousness. And the reason why I say that is because if if a person has a particular, some people are career politicians,
Yeah, yeah.
and if their goal is to be a politician, then they're going to push this as far as they can because people are
Mhm.
power stricken and
Yeah.
they don't understand the real power is in the movement and the people all together, and it's never going to be in one individual.
Right, 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 right. No, thank you for that. I like the way you framed with some people, they don't look at it as issue, look at it as this is a way to get toward that issue being solved.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on
Hmm.
who the elected official is. That's why it's so
Right.
important for people to research who they vote for.
Right.
There's a voter guide that League of Women Voters puts out every year. We'll put that link in the chat too. You should really be looking at who you're voting for. I always tell people to look at what they've done in the past, whether that be as an elected um, person or just in the community. You should look at everything they've done in the past. That's going to tell you what they're going to do in the future. People
Yeah.
grow and people change. Absolutely, they do. But look at what they've done in the past. This person could have never been elected. They do community work. They have people that they hang around. Look at all that stuff. Google people, read, read what they've done in the past, so you can really know, does this really align, with your values. And going back to like doing your own research, how do you think misinformation has affected voters' decision making, and what do you think can be done about? Because there is a lot of misinformation out there in regards to voting.
I think we have to do exactly what you said about reading up on the candidates for ourselves, and I think this is where the piece of the education needs to be increased in terms of civics.
Mhm.
A lot of times we rely on media to be our educators, our theologists, everything, like end all be all, and we just go with what somebody tells us, and we're not doing the exact research for ourselves. A true liberation and understanding our own individual power to build the movement is going to be important for our folks. Because I think that it's a lot of unlearning and relearning that we have to do, and I think that we really don't. We have become accustomed to just taking what people feed us.
Yeah, we have, and we don't do our own research or read it for ourselves,
Right,
and that comes from family. Like
right,
when you're talking about voting, that's family things. Like
right.
people call me all the time. Before I kind of got into the movement, I would call my aunts. Like
Yes,
who do I vote for? So
exactly.
that's why it's so important to have that community approach to voter engagement. You should
Yes,
go to the people on the ground, go to the people who are already there. And that's who people listen to, especially I would
yeah,
say younger folks.
yeah,
They
and
call their parents, they
yeah.
call people in their community. So that's why it really pissed me off a lot during the last election cycle when they was flying all of these celebrities in, and I'm like, that's awesome. But however, that money could have gone to maybe giving a stipend to
Deep
somebody,
canvassing.
or yeah,
I think
Candace said,
deep
mhm,
canvassing is
yeah.
very important and taking that time. But it's a lot of patience and a lot of time that has to be committed to that. But I think deep canvassing is a very important initiative where we're having those conversations. I'm gonna be real with you. The best canvassing I have seen is through the unions
Mm,
and the way they, you
true.
know, grow their base and the way they sit down. Like their conversations can last from like 30 minutes to an hour when they're
Hmm.
speaking with an individual. And
Hmm.
those the type of conversations that we need to be having with folks, not just these 5 hours. Did you vote? Did you vote? Not going, oh, they ain't answer. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just we all this, we really have to, this is what it's just gonna take a lot of work to get us to the level that I think we could be at as a people. And it's not just for somebody, it's not for the weak, and it's not for people that just want to come in, fly by night and just do it because it's
Hmm.
going to take real intimacy.
Yes, yes. Less transactional interactions with
Yes,
people. Yeah. And I feel
yes,
like this is a great time. I know there's a lot going on in the
yes.
world, but this is a time
Great time.
we could go back to community. This is,
Yes.
we're hyper local. Tag is a hyper local
Yes.
organization, and I feel like all politics is local. Even if you say national, you have to get your Congress people. Guess what? They have a district. You got to go back to their district to get them to put
Right.
pressure on them because that's who they typically listen to is people who vote for them. So
Mm-hmm.
everything is local. So I know that national organizing is important, especially for those police violence issues and environmental justice. But to me, everything comes back to that local community.
Yep.
If you want to get something
Yep.
done, you got to go back to that local community. So I feel like this is an opportunity for
Yeah.
us to really come back to local, come back to those community pieces.
Yeah.
And has there been any?
I've been tabling at a lot of events across
Mhm.
Allegheny County, and I've been having, like, we give out the shirts and everything.
Yep.
But I really want people to understand what do it mean to you. Like, it's just not, what does this mean to you? What does this mean? What do these words mean for you
Mhm.
and the growth of your particular community?
Mhm.
What are
Mhm.
you waiting for? What are you waiting to see?
Right. Right. And what is some misinformation that you've heard from people that you kind of want to kill right now? Any myths
I
you've heard?
mean, the most it's so funny, but the most prevalent one that I've heard was around criminal justice and folks that have been to prison believing that they cannot participate in the election cycle, and we have that has been changed for years.
Yeah, can you please talk about that's great to bring that up. Yes.
Yes. So in the state of Pennsylvania, once you are released from a state institution, you can participate in election. And if you are incarcerated in a county facility, you can participate in the election if you are awaiting trial.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not been convicted, you can participate.
Yeah. So I don't think a lot
And
of people
once
know
you are
that.
released,
Mm-hmm.
you can vote. When you that moment you step out, you if you've been convicted and that moment you step out of the facility, you are eligible to vote
Is that
and
true for
register.
federal charges too?
Federal, all charges.
Charges. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. See, that's good information for people to know. And I know that there are groups and people that go into the jails and and register people and help them vote. So it's
Yes.
definitely possible if you are incarcerated to vote and participate in the process. So if you know
Yep.
someone close to you, reach out. You can reach out to Tab and connect with Black Voters Matter or vice versa.
Right.
Either one. We can get somebody in there because I know that there's groups. I know Black Voters Matter works on that. Is working on that as well. So is there
Yes.
anything else that you kind of want to say about the importance of voting?
I would just say understanding that local elections impact us more. If it impact us as the federal level impact us, the local level impact us, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people really stop at the presidential election and really don't understand with these, especially right now with the municipal races,
Mm-hmm.
district attorney, judges, and we talk about it, how they're impactful for our community all the time. And they be like, I got to go in front of Judge so and so. And then it's like, you voted her in. Even if you didn't participate, you voted her in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I don't think people do connect that. So when you go to vote for these judges,
No vote is a vote.
yep, yep, those names that I read out earlier. I mean, elections have consequences.
Yes.
I mean, we're dealing with that now. Elections have consequences. So all these judges running for court of common pleas, you may see if you have to go downtown for court.
Yep.
If you, because a lot of things are start within our local community, start with our magistrate. So in McKeesburg, we have a magistrate election coming up. So you should look at those two people that are running, and I'll say their names
Hmm.
again: Michael Sharepko and Joe Piro. We have two people running for magistrate judge. So in this county, anyway, I don't know this in all the other counties in the world, but in this county, when you do something, typically you go straight to the magistrate. That's an
And
elected,
and
it's elected
you don't
position.
have to have a lot of experience to be a magistrate judge.
No, you just have to
So
get the course.
we really, that it's critical that we pay attention to that race.
Yeah, because you don't have to be. And people, I don't think you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to go to law school. You don't have to have that background to be a magistrate. You got to go to magistrate school, and you can go after you win.
Yep.
You don't even have to go to run. I believe all you got to have is a master's degree, right?
Huh?
I think all you got to have is a master's degree. I don't think you
No,
have to
not
have
even.
that. Do you?
No,
No,
you don't have to have that.
no, you can just run.
You don't. You could just run.
You can just run for the seat. So we
Yes.
have two people running for magistrate here. We have over 8 people running for judge here. So thank you for bringing that up because if you do something, you or your loved one, and you got to go downtown, you're gonna go across this folk that you voted.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to add? Is there anything you want to share that Black Voters Matter is working on right now?
Yeah, again, so we are knee deep in the community,
Hmm.
trying to engage with all our partners to make sure they have the resources that they need within civics and outside of civics. We actually have a bus tour that we this upcoming week we're supporting some groups at the Capitol for our
Hmm.
advocacy day centered around education fund because
Hmm.
again we cover all the resources and that's something too like education funding for the state of Pennsylvania lives at the state and it should be at the county level.
Hmm.
So we have to go and, lobby for funding to bring back to these communities so that our public schools are fully funded.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So I know the bus tour came here to McKeesport. I think it was
Yes.
last election cycle. The
Yeah.
blackest bus
The
in America.
general.
Yeah, came to
Yeah.
you. Well, I
I
think
would love to bring it back too, and we could talk offline about that. But
please
you
do. We would
know,
love that. They enjoyed that. They
yeah,
really enjoyed that. We could take it on down the Bailey. No, that would be great. Definitely. I
yeah,
appreciate you so much for coming on and talking about this important topic about voting. I love that we kind of talked about all the intersections with it because it's not just voting; it's tied to like all things are connected. So thank you, thank you,
yes.
thank you. So this is I'm going to close us out, and it's the part where I talk shit. So you can stay or you can go, but you want to stay or it's up to you.
You can move me to the background so I can watch you.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Brittany, for that amazing conversation. I'm so happy that Brittany brought up that people incarcerated can vote because that is another misinformation that is out there that is just not true. So it was a great conversation. I just want to close out by talking about some of the things that TAG is working on. So we actually have an event Tuesday, the 13th. We will be doing a town hall and we will be talking about the Home Rule Charter, as well as we'll be talking about voting. And then we have a Know Your Rights, and this is on May 19th. We'll be talking about know your rights for the election, knowing your rights for immigration, and knowing your rights for the police. When I bring up police, I will give you an update on our advocacy campaign that TAG has going on now. So here in McKeesport, we have been at it with our police for years since our existence, since the whole 10.5 years we've been in existence. We have a lawsuit against them now with the ACLU for how they treated us when one of their officers was shot in 2020. It kind of harassed our community. So we are suing them for that. So there's that lawsuit. And as that is going on, there's been two viral videos in the last 3.5 months of them beating up black people. One was a black couple. Second one was a 72-year-old black man where they broke his ribs. So of course we put out demands. We've been to council meetings. We are demanding a police review board. We're demanding that mental health people respond with the police. We are demanding that they defund. So divest and invest. Defund 10% of the police budget and invest that back into black communities. That can be one of our churches, that can be the library, that can be one of these black led orgs, a gambit. But in most communities, your police budget is your biggest budget. It is our biggest budget in McKeesport. It might be second to the to the school budget, because the school district's budget is way bigger than the city of McKeesport. But the city of McKeesport's budget, the biggest part of that is the police. So we want that defunded by 10%. We want to divest and invest that money back into the community. And with these demands that we have in place, we also have ways that people can help. So we're asking people to call the mayor and call the council to amplify our specific demands. On our blog, which we'll put here in the chat, we have phone numbers and emails to be able to reach out and contact them, explain how important it is that they can listen to our demands. Also, we have a boycott out. So we have a boycott out against all City of McKeesport activities. We don't want people to do public facing things with the city. And that is because of the way they weaponize community events. So if you do community event with the city of McKeesport and you are a person of color, typically they'll take a lot of pictures with you and they'll put it on their website, their social media. This magazine we get once a month, it'll say it makes it look like they care about the issues and they're responding to the issues that we're bringing up, and that is not how it is. They also weaponize it with division. So if they like you, then they'll have the event the same day as another group is having an event. They also do that with if you speak out against them, then they'll take back. If they say you can have it here, they'll take that back. If they don't like something that you have to say, um, they're sort of weaponizing these community events, and they're saying, "Oh no, 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 no! If Tag says something, no, we actually do care. Look at this picture. Remember, we had this great event, and we gave out 150 coats, and we had this amazing event, and we donated $1,000, and they had all these great things for Black people there. No, you guys, we actually do care." And that's not what we asked for. So that's why we have the boycott out. So if you call yourself an ally and you don't live in the city of McKeesport, but you actually care about what is happening to us over here, then you won't do public facing events with the city of McKeesport. Now, if you got a contract, I'm not telling you give away the contract. That is up to you. However, I'm asking you not to do the public facing piece because that kind of cuts us off at our legs if we're asking for specific demands and then they turn around and they pick and choose what Black groups they're going to work with. It really cuts us off. Which kind of brings me to my last point about Juneteenth. So there are some Juneteenth events going on in the city of McKeesport. They have decided to work with the city of McKeesport in regards to funding, spaces. So we backed out of that particular event because we have an active boycott out, and it's it just makes it hard to do the work when we're putting on boycotts and we're literally doing rallies and we're advocating so the police don't kill somebody because that is our fear. And then we say, hey, so don't work with them, especially publicly. You all don't take things from them. You can do it on our own, and then turn around and do it. It really hurts us. And not tag, when I say us, I mean us, the people of the city of McKeesport, especially the Black people here who police are just beating the hell out of us. So it all kind of connects. Everything connects, everything is together. So that's why, Tag backed out of that particular event. They are giving me an award, which I greatly appreciate, and I will accept it. Um, because nobody has to do that. No one has to give awards. No one has to support you. So I appreciate that wholeheartedly. However, we just can't bring ourselves to be, um, part of the event because we have this active boycott. This is a matter of principle. It's a matter of having principled alignment. We can't just keep taking these crumbs. We cannot keep taking, 5 cents on a dollar just because they want to give us maybe 1,000, 2,000 for one of our events. Man, keep all that shit. I don't want any of that money. I don't want any of that stuff. If we're not going to get accountability, that's what Tag is looking for. So we're not looking for you to sponsor any of our events. We're not looking for you to come. I don't care if you come or not. We actually want some legislation passed. We want some accountability in place to protect us from these officers. That's what Tag is really asking for. So I just want to make that clear. Just because the city of McKeesport is participating in or helping out Juneteenth events, that is not going to shut Tag up. That is not going to shut us up. That's not going to stop us from talking. Doesn't stop anything that we're doing. You want to do that? That's a good thing. Do that. However, that is not what we asked for. And as somebody who has been on the ground since I was 11 years of age, I can say with a full chest that Juneteenth is not what we asked for. As far as making Juneteenth a holiday, is not what we asked for. That is not what we asked for. We asked for liberation. We asked to free political prisoners. We asked the return of land. We didn't ask for that. So I just want to be quite clear about that. And I'm not saying Juneteenth celebrations are bad. They are not bad. I'm just saying we cannot let the elected officials get away with coming to a Juneteenth celebration or hosting or sponsoring one and saying that, oh no, we actually have done, because you haven't. That is all um, performative, but it's not actually real effective change. So I just wanted to be clear about that, because when we went to the council meeting, I did bring that up. So I wanted to come on to live and kind of say that. And then I am working on a book on my endometriosis healing journey. And as part of that, TAG has started an endometriosis support group. We'll put that in chat too if anybody wants to sign up to be a part of our endometriosis support group. We're meeting once a month. It'll be hybrid sometimes in person, and then sometimes will be way as well. So that is it. I just want to make sure I hit on their advocacy campaign. And those two events that we have coming up are Town Hall and the Know Your Rights. Please make sure you follow us. If you want to get involved to know more about our McKeeswar Advocacy Campaign, you can sign to be a member of our chapter or a supporter, and we can let you know about some of the events that we are working on. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you again to Brittany Smalls from Black Voters Matter to come on and talk about voter engagement. And you all stay black and stay blessed.